Good morning students, welcome back to online classes of digital communication. So in the last class we have started the introduction part of your channel coding. So I hope you are all clear with what is a channel coding. So and also along with that one we have seen one more topic, why we need error control coding. Okay, what actually is channel coding? Why we require channel coding is that as to remove the noise which will be added into your message signal when it is transmitted through a particular channel. So that's the reason we are doing this encoding in the channel. So that's the reason it is called as your channel coding. So what actually channel encoders will be doing, that will be adding up extra bits that are called as redundant bit or redundancy bits that will be added up to your message signal, and then they are transmitted, and at the receiver side same channel decoder will also be present, so that it will be removing the redundant bits where that are being affected with the noise or the errors, and your original data or the original message will be obtained without any errors. So that's the reason we require this channel encoding and decoding. And we have seen that why we require what is the need for error control coding. So when this digital data is being transmitted between two systems, the signals gets distorted because of this additional noise that is being transmitted along with your message signal. So as to remove that particular one, we have to know about the errors, what are the errors that have been introduced, and also we have to know the methodology as to remove that particular errors. Fine. So that's the reason we have a need for error control coding. Okay ma? So this is the channel encoding and decoding part which will be added up in your digital communication elements. You already know the block diagram of your digital communication, where you will be having a source coding. In that one you will be having three parts, that are your sampling, quantization as well as your encoding. That encoded message signal or the data will be transmitted to the channel coding part, where you will be added up with your redundant bits, so that your noise or the errors that will be added up during the transmission through a particular channel, that will be affecting only the redundant bits that you have added up to your input signal. Fine. Then afterwards that you will be doing the modulation, then it is given to the transmitter. Okay, here then through a channel it is given to the receiver. So in this channel, in case if your noise for sure there will be some noise or error will be added up when you are transmitting the data from the transmitter to the receiver. So here, but in case if the noise has been affected or you got some error also, that will be affecting only to the redundant bits that you have already added in the channel coding. Okay ma'am? Now see, so when again you have to go for the demodulation, where your carrier signal as well as your message signal or the data will be separated, and in the channel decoding part what you will be doing, you will be removing that extra redundant bits that you have added in the channel coding part. Then afterwards again source decoding will be done, then you will be getting your information or the message signal at the receiver side. So this is how your channel coding will be providing you the ability of error detection as well as the correction. You can easily find what are the errors that have been occurred, and you also will be capable of correcting that particular errors. So the channel encoder will be add some redundant bits to the input bit sequence, which are called as additional bits of your message signal. So that will be allowing the receiver to perform error detection as well as the correction. But only one thing it is that it will be increasing the bit rate, and hence that will be increasing your bandwidth. Yes or no? So see, my data is of 4 bits, 1010. Please make a note. I am giving a data of form of 4 bits, that is 10 and 10. This is the data that have been transmitted. But at the channel encoding side, 2 redundant extra bits will be added. Okay, redundant bits are nothing but your extra bits, that are 0 and 1. So what is your what is your message signal now? 10 10 0 1. Last 0 1 are your redundant bits. So whenever I am transmitting this particular bits, these redundant bits will be added up at the channel encoding. Now after modulation, what happens at the receiver part, in case of any error is occurred, that will be affecting the redundant bits that have been added up in your channel encoding. Okay, so at the decoding side you will be able to decode that particular redundant bits and you will be getting your message bit. But what happens, your bit rate had been increased. What is the bit rate you had initially? That is your 4. Now after adding the redundant bits, what is the bit rate that you are having now? That is 6. So that's the reason your bit rate is also increased, and hence due to that one your bandwidth will also be increased by using your channel encoding or your redundant bits. Okay, so this was about your channel encoding. Okay, and what is the need for error controlling device. Now see the next topic that you are having, types of errors. Okay, so here we are having two different types of transmission errors. Okay, now we are continuously saying that if there some error has been introduced, then we are going to reduce by this one, how the errors. So we have to know what actually errors are present here. So here we are having two kinds of errors which will be introduced during the data transmission. Okay, these are two errors that are introduced during the transmission of data. The very first one is your random error and the second one is your burst error. Okay, what is meant by random error? Random error, in the name itself you can know that what actually random error will be doing. So this error is completely in random manner. Suddenly it may pop up. Okay, so when you are transmitting the data from the channel, suddenly it may burst, it will be randomly occurring in your data. So that particular kind of errors are called as your random errors. Randomly they can occur in your data without any particular source. So that kind of particular errors are called as your random errors. The errors which occur purely in the random manner are known as your random error, and these errors are created mostly due to the wide Gaussian noise in the channel, and they are totally uncorrelated. That's what I have said. Without any source or without any relation, they may be randomly occurring in your data. So that is what we call as your random errors. Now secondly, that comes your burst errors. What actually this burst error means? The errors that are occurring in the form of bunches. You will be having, suppose you have a data of 1100, suddenly a bunch of 3 zeros or 2 zeros will be occurring in the data, then that particular kind of errors that are occurring, that are called as your burst errors. They will be bursting up in your data. Okay, the transmission data that you are transmitting through a channel, in that a bunch of errors have been occurred, then that particular kind of errors are called as your burst errors. Okay, I hope you are clear with what are burst errors and what are random errors. And these burst errors are dependent on each other. So one burst error I got in one data transmission. Again, that error is also dependent on one more data. Okay, if I am sending 2 to 3 data at one time, so in the first data or the first series of data that I have sent, in that if I got a burst error, though it will be dependent on the next path also or the next data stream also. So these are different kinds of errors that are occurring in your data transmission. Clear? Now see what are the different types of codes that you are having. Okay. Now after the data transmission, after the errors that we have got, we are having two different types of codes that may be classified. So there are many different types of error control codes. So in that one we are categorizing the codes into two types. One is your block codes, that is will be visible here. See here. So one is your block codes and second one are your convolution codes. Okay, these are only the two codes we are categorizing in for your error controlling device. So your codes have been divided into two parts. One is block codes and one is your convolution codes. In that one, first we are going to see block codes. In that part, again it is categorized into linear block code. So these linear block codes, again you are having different varieties, like it may be of systematic and non-systematic. They'll explain it later. Okay, so I hope you are clear what are the different types of codes. So there are many different types of error control coding codes. Out of that one, we have categorized codes into two types. One is your block codes and second one is your convolution codes. Okay, so the major difference between your block code as well as the convolution codes is that block code doesn't require any memory, but whereas your convolution codes will be requiring memories. Please do remember all always that block codes doesn't require any kind of memory. It won't go back and it will cross check like you have removed that errors or not, it has been properly, your data has been completely obtained at the receiver or not. This kind of cross checking or memory won't be available in your block codes. But when it comes to the convolution codes, that will be having the memory, or these convolution codes need the memory. They will be storing the data and they will be having the feedback also. So that's the reason there is only one difference between your block codes and the convolution codes is that this block codes won't be having any kind of memory, but whereas your convolution codes will be having the, or they need the memory. Fine. So this was about the types of codes that have been classified. Now see what are the different types of controlling errors. Okay, how we are going to, we have told that we have different kinds of errors. What are the two different kinds of errors? Random error or the burst error. Then we have seen also codes, how your codes have been classified. There are block codes and convolution codes. Now how we are going to correct that particular errors. So for that one we are having two methods to correct the errors. One is your automatic retransmission request. This is very important for your 2 marks question. Okay, so first one is your automatic retransmission request, and second method of controlling the error is your forward error correction. Okay, these are the two methods of controlling the errors. Now how you are going to control, I'll explain about the automatic retransmission request, ARQ, first. So in this method, a small number of redundant bits will be added to the original data sequence, which will be allowing the receiver only to detect the errors. If an error is detected at the receiver, that may ignore or may request for the retransmission. I repeat it once again. So what actually automatic retransmission request, the name itself you can understand what actually the operation is going on. So what we will be doing in this one, we will be adding some bits, okay, to your some redundant, a small amount of redundant bits will be added up to your original data that will be transmitted, and it will be allowing to transmit it to the receiver side. In case if there is an error, if it is negligible, then the receiver will be taking that one. In case it is not negligible, then this receiver will be requesting again the transmitter that it has to retransmit the data. So that is how you are going to detect the error and retransmission. So that is what we call as automatic retransmission request. This is one form of controlling the error. So the receiver does not attempt to correct the error, but it just asks the transmitter to again retransmit the data. If the error is negligible, it will be continuing. It will be giving it to the output side. Okay, and this receiver simply requests a retransmission. For that one we require a full duplex connection. Why? Because both side connection, both side transmission and retransmission both should be done. So that's the reason we require full duplex connection. To and fro transmission should be done. So for that reason we require this full duplex connection. Now second method of controlling error is that it is forward error correction. Now what is meant by forward error correction? In this method, a large number of redundant bits will be added to the original data sequence, in which it will be allowing the receiver to both detect as well as to correct the error bits in the data sequence. That is the difference between your for ARQ and FEC. What is FEC, ma'am? Forward error correction. So what we will be doing here, we will be adding large number of redundant bits and that to your original data, and what we are doing here, we will be finding out your errors, and along with that one we are also going to correct that particular errors. So for that one we require a simplex connection. We don't require a full duplex because only one data transmission is enough. We are not again retransmitting the data back to the transmitter. So that's the reason we require only simplex connection. Here we require full duplex connection in ARQ. So what is your FEC? Forward error correction. Here the number of large number of redundant bits will be added to your original data stream, and at the receiver side both they will be detecting as well as they will be correcting the errors that will be added up in your data. So this is what we call as methods of controlling the errors. One is your automatic retransmission request. The name itself you already know that what it will be doing, and in the forward error correction it will be going forward, detecting the errors, and as well as it will be correcting the errors. So receiver can correct also and detect the errors also, and it requires only a simplex connection. So I hope you are clear with the types of errors, types of codes, and as well as types of or the methods of controlling the errors. Okay, now we'll move on to the codes. So how many, as I already told, how many types of codes we are having? There are two types of codes. One is your systematic codes and the second part is your non-systematic codes. What comes in your systematic codes? The message bits that will be appearing at the beginning of the code word. Okay, then the message appears first and the check bits will be appearing of the next. Then these type of codes are called as your systematic codes. Now what is meant by message bits? The data stream, ones and zeros that you are converted into digital form, okay, that will be transmitted. That is your message. Then next, what is your check bits? Check bits are nothing but your redundant bits. Okay, please do remember or make a note that check bits are nothing but your redundant bits that will be added up to your data stream as to have what we have discussed till now, as to remove or to detect the errors. So what is the systematic code process? First you have to give the message bits, then they should be continued with your check bits. So that type of codes are called as your systematic codes. Now the name next one is your non-systematic codes. In this non-systematic block code, it is not possible to identify whether it is a message bit or it is a check bit, because they all will be mixed up. They all mixed up in one message bit. M1 will be there, then your check bit C1 will be there, then M2, then C2. But whereas in systematic codes, M1 to Mn all message bits will be first arranged, then after that your C1 to Cn or P1 to Pn, these are also called as parity bits also, remember that one. So P1 to Pn, they are all arranged next to your message bits. So this is how it is very clear that in systematic codes we are going to see the message bits next to the check bits. So this is the difference between systematic codes as well as the non-systematic codes. Now see the principle of block coding. This is what we call as systematic codes. Just now I have told you. So what is systematic? Very first, see clearly here in this figure, we are having this channel encoder, right? This what channel encoder, to this channel encoder what you are giving as the input? The message block input. I'll show you the figure once again. See here, what is the channel encoding input? That is your source coding. That is nothing but your message signal will be given, right? So what you are giving to the channel encoder? The message signal. So here also the message block is given to the channel encoder and the code block should be obtained here. What is the code? Message block is this number of bits. K bits we are transmitting 1010, that is number of bits depending upon your message signal. But here what you are doing at the code block, it is the combination of your message bits plus your check bits. Okay, this is your check bits. So it should be appeared like this, your message bits, K number of message bits and N minus K number of your check bits. So these check bits can also be called as your redundancy bits or parity bits, or they are also called as check bits. So the encoding operation of this linear code consists of these two basic steps actually. Fine. So I hope you are clear with the principle of block coding. They will be first a message bits will be transmitted to the channel encoder, and this channel encoder will be adding up of check bits to your message bits. So this is your code block. Okay. See here, it is very clear structure here. Here is a data block, K bits, is the channel encoder and the code words. What are the code words that you are having? They are having N minus K parity bits, or it is also called as check bits, or it is called as redundancy bits. And this is your message block. So this is the structure of your code word. Either this may be followed up by this, or this may be followed up by this, but it should be of systematic part. This all comes under your error controlling parts. Fine. So what is this? We call this as an n comma k binary. What is n and what is k? N are the number of message signals or number of message bits that are present, and k shows the size of that particular message. Suppose if I say 6,3 is here in this part, it is 6,3. Then what you will be telling 6,3? 6 message bits should be there. 6 message bit stream. And k is equals to 3 means that is the size of your message. If I say 2 to the power of 3, then that is 2 to the power of 3 is equals to 8. That will be 0, 0, 0. How much is the size? 3. 3 is the size. So k shows a 3. And up to how many message bit stream we have to consider? 8. So 0, 0, 0 to 1, 1, 1. That is how you have to consider the message bit. Okay. So the n code word symbols can be taken on the 2 power n possible values. That is what we have corresponding to all the possible combination of n binary bits. So that is how you are going to find it out. And very importantly, a code is said to be linear or it is a linear block code when there is a condition. What is that condition? In modulo 2 addition of any two code words gives you another code word, then the block code is said to be linear block code. So if your code is linear, then what you have to see the condition? If you are doing the addition, that is nothing but your modulo 2 addition is done of any two code words, and the code word that is obtained at the output, that should be also a code word, then it is called as your linear block code. I repeat it once again. In a modulo 2 addition of any two code words gives you another code word, then the block code is said to be a linear block code. Okay, I hope you are clear with this part. And the code is systematic code. In the first or last k elements in the code words are your information bits, either first k elements or last k elements, because in some part we have seen that first check bits are kept, then next to that message bits are kept. In one more notes I have seen that first message bits will be given, then afterward check bits will be given. So the first or last, the k elements are your code words and other will be your parity bits or the check bits or your redundancy bits. So this is what we call as linear block codes. Now listen it very carefully. I'll going to explain the matrix description or the matrix or the encoding operation of your linear block codes, how you are going to find it out. Okay, in my notes it's just a variable difference is there, but it is all similar. I'll explain you the operation. Okay, the encoding operation of your linear block codes is involving of two operations. First, what you have to do, you have to do the segmentation of your information sequence, and then next you have to transform each message block into a block of n bits according to some predefined set of rules. And what are that particular rules, I am going to explain. So what we have seen, already told that how you are going to say it is a linear block code when you are doing the modulo 2 addition of two code words, and at the result you will be getting another code word, that is called as your linear block code. Now I am considering a message block which is given as M1, M2, so on up to Mn. Okay, and each bit will be of 0 or 1, because we are all digitalizing the values. It is all about digital communication. We are digitalizing the values over here. So each message will be of only 0 and 1. So that is less than 2 to the power of k distinct message blocks. Fine. Now we have considered the mk number of message block. Now each message block has to be transformed into a code word. Correct? So what is the code word? It will be of n bits. So there will be 2 to the power of k distinct code words, one unique code word for each distinct message. So that can be given as one code word is equals to C. Actually the formula will be C is equals to D into G. Okay, or you can also consider this as parity into message blocks, because we are using a check bits plus number of messages. So your code word will be combination of these two bits, right? Now see in the matrix representation of this one. So what is a systematic block code? We are having the combination of your parity bits or check bits. Both are same. Please don't get confused. Your code word, I'll go back to the figure here once again. See, what is a code word? This code word is combination of your parity bits and the message bits. That is what I am showing in the matrix representation. Your first code word C1 is equals to parity bit of 1 1. Okay, in the row and column 1 into the message stream 1, either 0 or 1. Okay, similarly you have to give the parity of 1 2 into m2, so on up to p1 into n minus k into mk. So this is the matrix representation of your code word. And if you go and if you see the matrix representation, this is how your code word will be. So C is equals to m into, this is parity as well as the identity matrix. So these can be given as your code word C is equals to M into G. What is M? M is the message bits. What are the message bits that you are having? They are combination of your check bits as well as the message bit. What is G here? G here is nothing but your generator matrix. Okay, so what is a generator matrix, ma? It is combination of your parity matrix as well as the identity matrix. So can I write this generator matrix like this? G is equals to P into I. Yes, this is your completely parity matrix and this is your identity matrix, correct? So this is the combination of your C, code word C is equals to M into G, where G is equals to generator matrix. So it is a product of your identity matrix as well as the parity matrix. And how we are going to find out the code word? Code word C is equals to M into G. Okay, so I hope you are clear. I'll give one example for this and do write the assignment of that particular example, then that will be very clear for you. Okay, see. Now what a generator matrix is? A compact description of how code words are generated from the information bits in a linear block codes. So this generator matrix will be giving you how your code words are being used or how they are generated from your information bits that you have given at the transmission part, and they are used in a linear block code. So the design goal of this linear block codes is to find the generator matrix, that is your parity as well as the identity matrix. So due to this one, what are the trade-offs between this one? So due to this one, what will be increased? Your efficiency will also be increased. Okay, then you will be having good reliability and it will be having encoding and decoding complexity also, right? So here this parity matrix completely defines the block codes and also selection of the parity matrix resides these properties, the trade-offs what I have shown here, and they will be generated by using these code words and they will be very easy to implement. They will be having the ability to correct and detect the errors, and they will also be having the high rate efficiency. Along with that, and they also have the reliability, but at the same time you will be having some encoding and decoding complexity. But overall it is very advantageous at the digital communication as to find out the errors and to detect the errors also. Okay, let's move on to the example. Listen carefully and write the example first. Afterwards I'll show this same example of my handwritten notes also. See, for a 6,3 linear block code, LBC is nothing but your linear block code with the generator matrix G, which is already given here. Here I got the generator matrix. See once carefully, it is a combination of P and I, parity matrix and identity matrix. First three columns you see 1 1 0 0 1 1 1 0 1. This is your parity matrix. And what is the identity matrix? 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 1. Okay, now here you have to find out the code word for all the distinct messages. So you have to find out the code word for all the messages. Now tell me how you are going to find out the distinct messages. Okay, I have already told in the properties here. See here, this how you are going to find out a block code or distinct messages. N comma K. What is N comma K? I have, what is the in problem, what it is given? 6,3. Correct? Right here N comma 3. So above 6 you write it as N and above 3 you write it as K. I'll show you my notes. It will be very clear for you people. See, I have written here clearly what I am going to find out. All the possible code vectors for your codes of your message bits, and also you have to find the parity check matrix. Okay, this is the extra one that I am going to see here. So what is the combination of code vectors that you are having here? 6,3, that is here N comma K. So how many number of message bit streams you have to find out? 2 to the power of k. Here in this part 2 to the power of k, that is 2 to the power of 3 is equals to 8 bit streams of messages you are going to find out. And what is the formula for finding the code words? All the possible code words you have to find. What are the all possible code words? Say what you are going, all code words for the all distinct messages. So how many messages you have got? 8. 000, 001, 010, 011 up to 7, 111. So how many are the total? 8 message bits are there. So to that one, for each and individually you have to find out the code word. What is the formula for the code word? C is equals to M into J. What is the M? I have given it as a data. You can also written as message. D into G or M into G. It is same. Okay, I can tell it as a data, or I can pronounce it like as a message also. So here what is the formula that you have got? M into G, right? C is equals to M into G. The same what you have, C is equals to D into G. What is the first bit we are having? 000. What is the G value you have got from the example? 100. Here in this example you are having different one, and in that one you are having different generator matrix. So either you take any one and write an assignment and send it to me. Okay, so this I am explaining. You have to write that as an assignment. Fine. So 000 into your generator matrix. So this is the generator matrix. So what is the output you have got? 000 into this part. Again 0 into 1 plus 0 into 0 plus 0 into 0. So what is the combination you got? 0. Again 0 into second this part, right? So what? 0 into 0, 0 plus 0 into 1 plus 0 into 0, second 0. So what is the first code word that you have got? C1 is equals to combination of all zeros. Then second code word, how you are going to find out? 001 into generator matrix. Again 010 into generator matrix. Into again third one is 011 into generator matrix. So that is how you have to find out all the different code words for your data what you have given. So all possible code words for given 6,3 codes. Okay, then lastly you have to go for the parity matrix. As I have shown you parity check matrix for this code in here in the example. Find the parity check matrix. How you are going to find the parity check matrix? It's very simple. Whatever the parity matrix you have got, you have to just do the transpose of that particular parity matrix. P is equals to P transpose. So that gives you your parity check matrix. So what is the parity matrix that we have got? 011, 101, 110. So transpose of that particular parity matrix also will get the same answer. So this is how you will be getting the parity check matrix. Parity check matrix is nothing but the transpose of your parity matrix. Clear? So this is how you have to find out how your the all possible code vectors for the given codes n, k codes, and as well as the parity check matrix. So whatever the data you have given here, this is your parity bit and this is your identity bit. You just have to interchange and you have to find out your generator matrix. See here, for this one you have got this generator matrix is this one, and this is the message vector. Correct? For the block code 6,3. So 2 to the power of k. 2 to the power of k is 2 to the power of 3 and 8. These are the 8 message vectors, and for each message vector if you are multiplying this m into g, then you will be getting this particular code word. Okay, this is how your code words will be generated. So I hope you are clear with this one. So this is how you are going to find out your block codes, linear block codes for the given generator matrix. I hope you are all clear with this part. Please do practice well once this assignment and send it to me. I will be giving the link for in the attendance link as to attach the assignment. So in case of any doubts, you got any doubts when doing this particular problem, please do let me know. Fine, ma. So I'll wind up the class here itself. Thank you.